Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And if you notice, we have Dr. Beth back. Yeah, we're so excited about having her back. And she has actually asked us if she can talk about gut health. And we all raised our hands and said, absolutely, on that. We would love to hear what she has to say about gut health. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Beth, to let you start talking about that. And I'm sure the three of us will be interjecting and tons of questions.
Yes. Well, thank you again for having me back. I just love these, little interviews that we do. It's, it brings me joy. So as far as gut health, I thought it would be a really good thing to talk about, namely because it's such a trigger word nowadays. Like if you really think of, I kind of mentioned earlier before we started, our podcast today, green marketing. So it's where companies will bring about marketing schemes to be like, oh, this is a natural product. This is good. If you want to, get these gummy bears that have probiotics in them and all these, Flintstone kids multivitamins. And it's really like pushing the green marketing, but is it really good for you? And so now a big thing is gut health. And so I think it would be really interesting to talk about what gut health is not and how we can actually really support our gut health without even supplements. So
that would be awesome. I mean, I know, things I've read about it's a prebiotic and a probiotic and how many billions or millions to have in the probiotic. And then sometimes I get confused, like in a pre and a pro, and do we need both and all so I love that you said, let's talk about it without a supplement. And then is there a natural supplement that we should help our system with?
Yeah. And what not to confuse gut health with.
Yes.
Also,
yeah.
Because there's lots going on there too.
There really is. There really is. So I think that would be really good to start with is what it's not. And I think a lot of what marketing is pushed out is that if you take a daily probiotic, your gut is healthy, right? And that's really not the case, because what is a healthy gut? An unhealthy gut is, having bloating, gassiness. You might feel like you don't have bloating in the morning and then throughout the day you bloat. That can be different gut health issues. You might have multiple food sensitivities. That is, low gut health. Weight gain, hard to lose weight, hormonal imbalances. These are all things that are related to not great gut health. And so if you're just taking a probiotic, you're led to believe, all I have to do is take a probiotic and now I have a healthy gut. And that's just not the case, because there's so many other things that go along with a healthy gut. And really, our gut has billions upon billions of different microorganisms, and even they're finding worms are part of, our healthy gut flora. So, we need a really good balance of certain bacteria in the small intestine versus the large intestine and all of that. When we get into pre and probiotics, they feed gut bacteria in a different way. Prebiotics are usually food, and it's what helps to feed the microorganisms in our gut. And probiotics are more, you're taking the actual, lactobacillus and things like that. So that's kind of what gut health is not. It's not, I take a vitamin or, a probiotic every day and I've got a healthy gut. No, we want to make sure, as a naturopathic physician, I love to talk about people's digestion, right? How often are you going to the bathroom? Number 2, what's the shape? What's the color? All of that, because that really tells us what's going on in your gut. Are you actually having a bowel movement every day? Or is it, once every 3 to 4 days? Is it runny? Is it solid? All of that really leads into and gives us a clue as to what's going on with your digestive system. And so, we really dive into that. because gut health is so much more than just a probiotic.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Is gut health, like, because I don't get deep into my health in that way. I go, oh, I try to eat right, but I don't even go down that road. So is gut health and irritated bowel syndrome and all that all connected, or are these completely separate things, or these are just new names, new marketing names, but it's all talking about the same thing?
So I love the question. It's kind of a convoluted answer. So IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. And that really can be due to the neurotransmitters in our gut. So it can be the gut bacteria. Certain gut bacteria create serotonin versus norepinephrine and GABA. And so those neurotransmitters will cause us to either be more constipated or have more diarrhea. Okay. So IBS can be related to our gut flora. It's also a psychosomatic issue, which means that it's related to our brain. So a lot of people with IBS also suffer from anxiety and depression and things like that. So when they get really anxious, you can think of somebody who gets stage fright or something where, or, test anxiety. And then they're like, oh my God, I gotta go to the bathroom, or they get really anxious and then their bowels are just like, nope, gotta flush. So IBS can be related to the gut flora. It's also psychosomatic. So it's also related to, anxiety and our emotions. We also have what's called IBD, which is irritable bowel disease. And so that's an umbrella term for things like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, things like that. So that is also related to quote unquote gut health. But I think what marketers like to do is really use the trigger word gut health to really push products. Okay. So a healthy gut is really making sure that we're eating proper nutrition, right? Fiber is a huge thing. Protein, drinking our water, making sure that our intestines are, nice and fed, and we're getting the, fiber to help kind of bulk up the stool and push it through and feed the bacteria, all of that. So yeah, that was a great question, but kind of a convoluted answer because gut health is not, it's not as simple as marketing schemes have been making it sound.
I know, but you just cleared something up that was happening to me in my 20s, because I used to go out with this guy and he stressed me out. And every time we went out for dinner, I thought I was going to shite my pants because he just stressed me out so much. Right. And and he was the only one. I was like, why am I always like, ugh? And I didn't. So thank you on that.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm glad
that mystery.
Woo! We love mysteries being solved. You might even find too that you're not even able to eat. Like when I would get such social anxiety as a child, I couldn't eat around anyone. Like I could not be around anyone and eat. If I was around people, I just, I had no appetite. Yeah.
That's crazy because I never heard that before, but I've never really, delved into it, but I never heard that it was like anxiety or stress for Sicky.
And if we, kind of dive into that too, when we're in an anxious mood or, either social anxiety or, somebody's making you anxious for whatever reason, our body starts to go into a fight or flight mode, which is, one of my favorite topics to talk about. But when we're in a fight or flight mode, our body shuts down digestion because that's not something that it needs at that moment. Right. It needs to be prepared to, push the blood out to, our limbs if we're going to fight, if we need to run away. So it stops digestion. It stops all of that. It's going to empty our bowels, empty our bladder, because we don't need that extra weight. We need to be able to fight and then run away.
It's interesting how you talked about neurotransmitters in the gut because the gut really is the second brain. So to have neurotransmitters in the gut producing serotonin and those types of things that we consider brain activity is really scientifically, it's very, very interesting that takes place.
Yes. And actually, if you look at what a brain looks like and you look at what intestines look like, they're very similar looking.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting. And I think I had mentioned last time we talked, the neurotransmitters that are in the gut do not cross the blood-brain barrier. So whatever serotonin, epinephrine, GABA that we create in our gut, we might absorb it into the bloodstream. You know, it's there to help move along our bowel movements. It doesn't go to the brain, but I still think that there needs to be a little bit more research as to why it creates that, right? It's not just to do, you know, just small things, right? It's related to mood, all of that. And especially because there is such a huge gut brain axis and relativity, we have to like research that. There's just so much more that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how do we take care of our gut? What is it that we should be doing to actively take care of our gut so we don't have to be, you know, going out there and buying up all the marketers, you know, dream products that they're trying to sell us?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one is drinking your water. I can't harp on this enough. You know, I think we've talked about drinking half your body weight in ounces of water daily is a minimum. You can always tell if you're drinking too much because your urine will get clear. We don't want clear urine. You're too hydrated. We also don't want dark urine. So really somewhere in a happy straw colored medium area is good. So drinking water is going to be number one. Making sure to get sleep is number two, because our whole system resets. Our digestive system resets when we're sleeping. If we're not sleeping, we're not healing. And I'm a huge advocate of that. So making sure that we're getting really good quality sleep, right? And if somebody comes and tells me, well, I sleep really well. Okay, what's really well? Do you have trouble falling asleep? Do you have trouble staying asleep? Do you wake up feeling refreshed, or are you groggy in the morning? So really looking at quality of sleep, not quantity, because a lot of people are like, oh, I sleep for 10 hours. It's great. And I'm like, but that's not typically normal, right? Especially if you sleep 10 hours and you wake up feeling like you slept for 20 minutes. So those are part of it. Obviously, getting movement every day is going to really help to push along the natural movement of the intestines, which is called peristalsis. And so that's really just the movement of the intestines to push things through. So getting our movement every day is going to help with that. It's also going to help feed the gut bacteria. I'm not sure what the link is there, but a lot of research that I've come across has shown that it helps the gut bacteria. And I really think it's because it is helping to move, right, everything through. When we're dumping toxins, it goes into our intestines. So really making sure that we're having our bowel movements at least 1 to 3 times a day is also going to be really helpful, because if it's just sitting there in the intestines, it's going to cause inflammation to the intestinal walls, because number one, it's a toxin. Our bodies are trying to get rid of it. And then it's also going to get reabsorbed into our body. So sleep, water, movement, and then food-wise, we want to make sure that we're getting really good amount of fiber. The minimum fiber daily that we should be eating is 30 grams. The typical amount that people are getting, I think according to the American Heart Association, is 15 grams or less. So we're only getting half of what the minimum should be. And you could even get like, I don't know, in a cup and a half of beans, I believe, would give you at least 30 grams of fiber. So there, right, you know, that'll give you enough fiber. So what fiber does is it not only helps to, you know, bulk up the stool and help it get pushed along, it's also going to feed the gut bacteria. So fiber might be, you know, kind of a pre and probiotic, right? So that it's there to help feed it, grow the bacteria. Really making sure that we're getting our veggies, okay? Because that also has different fiber in it. It's also going to help to move, you know, everything through the intestines. It's going to help kind of brush the walls of the intestines, making sure that we, you know, are taking care of our intestines to decrease inflammation, right? Because a lot of processed foods, dyes in our foods cause inflammation. And then when there's inflammation, the walls of the intestines, there's what called are tight junctions, right? And they're tight, right? And they're there to keep large molecules from going into the bloodstream. But when we have inflammation, the tight junctions start to kind of come apart. And that's what's called leaky gut syndrome, which is actually called increased permeability. So when inflammation happens, our walls come apart. So things, bigger molecules of food and bacteria and viruses, they can actually get into our bloodstream. And that's why we can get a lot of, food sensitivities. It's not because you're actually sensitive to foods. It might be because that, you ate a strawberry and now a large molecule of a strawberry is floating around in your bloodstream, in your blood, your immune system cells are like, that's not normal. We have to attack. And because it came from a strawberry, every time you eat a strawberry, your system's going to attack it. So when somebody comes with a lot of, food allergies or food sensitivities, right? Not like true food allergies where they go anaphylactic. I really, question their gut health, right? Because that's number one. Because if food can sneak in and it's really large, our immune cells are going to attack it. So making sure to decrease the inflammation. I know that Michelle has done my 5-day, gut reset protocol, but I really focus on really good nutritional foods that are high in fiber. They're really yummy, but also it helps to decrease any inflammation. There's some really good broth in there that's very healing to the gut. For my, meat eaters, bone broth is one of the best things that you can do for your gut because it has the collagen in it, and collagen is very healing to the gut. For my non-meat eaters, unfortunately, there is no substitute. I do have a broth in there, but again, you can't get collagen from vegetables. It's only found in mammals. You can synthesize it inside of your body, but it's not going to be in the, intestines. And then I have like a really good, turmeric drink in there that's also an anti-inflammatory. So really making sure that your gut is healthy in the sense of, are we drinking enough? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we getting enough movement? What kind of foods are we eating? Are we eating processed foods? Or are we eating more raw foods? Are we eating inflammatory foods, right? Which would be processed foods, dyes, all of that. Or are we eating, very low inflammatory, anti-inflammatory foods? So really, those are some things that we can do that do not relate to having to buy products.
Yeah. So when you talk about inflammatory foods and non-inflammatory foods, I might have missed it. I had to step away for a second. What do you think? How do we figure out the inflammatory and non-inflammatory foods?
Yeah. So really, if you think about it, any processed food is going to be very inflammatory.
Okay.
A lot of foods, even if we think we're eating healthy, it might be covered in pesticides. Those are also very inflammatory. So pesticides, dyes, processed foods, processed meats, things like that, those are going to be full of nitrates, nitrites, all of that, which are pro-inflammatory foods. I think omega-6 I think it's arachidonic acid. I think that's a pro-inflammatory food. Now, I don't want you to be scared of omega-6. Obviously, we do need that, for certain functions in our body, but omega-3 fatty acids are really the anti-inflammatory. So really, fish, like fatty fishes are really good for anti-inflammatory. Chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, those all have really good omega-3s, anti-inflammatory. So really, if you're thinking about, is the food real or is it fake? Fake food is probably inflammatory, right? So our fruit juices, a lot of people are like, oh, let's do a whole gut reset with our juice cleanse. I hate juice cleanses. And it's because they take the fiber. So all you're drinking is sugar, and sugar is very inflammatory. When you have sugar with fiber, it's okay. Like our body needs sugar. Our brain runs on glucose. We would not survive without glucose. So sugar is not the enemy, but processed sugar, white sugar, cane sugar that has been extracted from its fibrous, natural state is the problem. It's very inflammatory. So if you pair sugar with fiber, aka fruits, vegetables, some vegetables, right, are very sugary. They come with fiber, and that helps to regulate the blood sugar. It helps to keep the inflammatory part of it down. I hope that answers your question.
Sorry.
More natural, less processed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Always though, right? I mean, that's the case for, gut health, any kind of health. It's always that, it always comes back to more natural foods and less processed foods.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, is it possible to have too much bacteria in your gut?
It is, yes. And you could have an overgrowth of certain bacteria. I don't like saying good or bad because they're all necessary, but gut bacteria can become out of balance. So bacteria that should be small amount in your gut flora might start to overrule and start to become too prolific, while the other bacteria that should be larger starts to kind of die off. So I guess you could look at it as good or bad. But yes, there can be an overgrowth and kind of a change in your gut bacteria. And again, that really kind of depends on what kind of foods are you eating, what's your stress level, your activity, all of that. And really to determine what kind of bacteria is growing, you would need to get a comprehensive stool sample and test. Mm-hmm. Which most functional doctors run.
Yeah. Would there be any kind of like symptoms that somebody would be experiencing that would kind of give them an indication of maybe I should get this checked out?
Yeah. So really, bloating is a huge thing, especially if you have bloating that occurs as you kind of go throughout your day. So if you feel okay in the morning and your bloating starts to happen throughout the day, that can kind of signal that there might be a gut imbalance. Also feeling full, like after eating a couple bites, is also not normal. That could be, either a gut motility disorder, or it could be a gut bacterial disorder, or dysregulation. And then obviously some, burping, gassiness, all of that. Like that's not, if you're changing your diet, that might be a little bit normal, but if you haven't changed your diet and you're starting to get that, that can kind of be a signal that there might be something that's off.
Right.
And then obviously, if you're having trouble sleeping or, losing weight, all of that.
I've never not been bloated. You just always, I always thought that was just being a woman. There's always some type of bloatiness feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I need to check my gut.
Yes. Get that gut checked, right? Because it could be hormonal.
But if everything, it's common sense what you're telling us. It's simple. Why aren't we all doing it?
Right. That's a great question.
Right? Like you just laid out some real simple steps for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy not to. It's easy not to.
Yes. It's easy.
It's so easy not to do it.
Yeah. It's easy to take a pill and do a quote unquote quick fix. Right. And that's what most people are after. And when I interview people and, I come from a place of how can I help you, if their goal is to, get healthy fast, like there is no getting healthy fast, right? We have decades upon decades of trauma and, eating not right and all these, environmental things that we've, put into our body either, on purpose, not in a malicious way, or, just environmentally we're exposed to, not purposefully. So really there is no getting healthy fast, and it takes effort, right? And effort is not something that is looked, upon as positive, especially in our society. I think I've kind of talked about, our society is very much so like go, instantaneous. I can send an email and maybe there might be a little bit of a lag depending on if we have it linked to our Gmails. I don't know, but pretty much it's instantaneous, right? Phone calls are instantaneous, text messages are instantaneous. So we live in a world that programmed to be like, oh, well, everything should be instantaneous. And that's really not the case, especially when it comes to health. Because if you want true health, it's a lifestyle change, and it's a permanent lifestyle change. You know, you don't just shower once and then that's it. You kind of have to keep showering and keep clean.
It's also more expensive. Like, it is so cheap to eat bad, like to go to McDonald's, to get a pizza, to do all of those things. So when you think about our kids that are in college or you know, going to university, that kind of thing, it's way cheaper on their budget to eat bad food than it is to go out and spend money on produce and all of that kind of stuff, because it's got a shelf life. And like, if they're not going to get through that in the proper amount of time, and you know, like salads, they cost a lot of money if you just want to go buy an individual salad as opposed to going out and buying a Big Mac. Like, it's like the salad is twice the price of what the Big Mac is.
Right.
So we have made it very easy to eat bad and to make those choices. And then of course, those kinds of foods literally become addictive in our bodies and in our systems. And it's very hard to go, you know what, guess what? You're not going to have any sugar anymore. You're not going to eat junk food anymore. And it's like, what? Like, don't do that to me.
Right. And it really does depend on what you're eating, right? And when I was in medical school and college, all of that, I chose to eat healthy regardless. And yeah, there were times that I did throw away food and I felt awful about it, but I do compost, so I felt a little bit better about that. But it can either be expensive or it can be cheaper, really, depending on, are you eating the produce before it spoils? Because I know I had a whole month where I was just like, oh, I'm too busy to cook healthy, and I think it's cheaper. And I actually spent 4 times more eating out for a month than I did just buying produce and eating it there. So it really just depends on, you know, how often you're eating your produce and all of that. So, you know, it can be more expensive, but it also can be a lot cheaper. But again, it's also, you have to cook for yourself, right? Which takes out more time.
Right. I was going to say that there's also the time factor. Everybody is so busy, especially young families, when you're doing all these things, or a student or whatever, that it takes time. It takes time when you come home. I mean, it took me a long time to do like a Sunday afternoon prep, you know, where I grocery shopped and I prepped vegetables and fruit and roasted like certain vegetables and stuff, because I put it with my eggs in the morning or whatever. That took what I thought was so much time. But then, like anything else, once I got my rhythm down and understood what I needed to do, within an hour, I had like everything done and cleaned up and put away. And now I have like roasted enough vegetables that I do this vegetable hash in the morning, and it lasts me like 10 days because it was all prepared. So I think it's that thought process. I don't have time.
And then the learning curve too, right? Right. Is because, like you said, when you first started prepping, I know when I first started prepping, I was like, oh my God, this is going to take like 2 days. No, thank you. I'd rather just go through a drive-through. But like you said, once you get a rhythm down and it takes practice, it can be really fast and you can store up enough food. You just have to be a little bit graceful with yourself and eat the same thing over and over again. And I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but you know, that's another choice too. But I'm perfectly okay.
But they probably are eating over and over the same thing. They're just going to a fast food place and getting it. They're getting a different hamburger at a different place. They're getting a different something at a different place. You know, I think we glamorize the dollar meal and the ease of that, and to just go out. And instead of, and people think, so let's take this for a second. People think organic is expensive. You can buy regular fruit. You just need to wash it when you get home.
Right.
Like, I'm not putting down organic and I'm not putting down either one. I'm putting it to whatever fits your budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I can definitely give you a list too to link in the notes, but the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, I think, that is something you should definitely try to buy organic, and then the things that don't have to be organic.
Yeah, I just saw that somewhere. That would be, Tracy G, that would be awesome to put into our notes.
Because that just gives you an idea. And the reason why they do that is because some of those fruits and vegetables actually store the pesticides inside of them. So you can't wash them off, which is why they're called the Dirty Dozen. And then the Clean 15, obviously you can wash them off, no big deal. So if you want to try your hand at doing some organic, but you don't want to do all organic, that's a really good option too, because then it doesn't limit you to only organic foods, which can be a lot more expensive, right? And like we kind of talked about, we live in a globe, right? And everything that happens here goes all the way around the world. So any pesticides, any, emissions, all of that, it's going to end up on the other side of the world. So even if you have an organic farm that doesn't use pesticides, the farm right next to it that does use pesticides, it gets aerosolized and it might hit the organic one, right? So we can't really stop all of environmental, but we can do our best, right, to try and control what we can.
So now, go ahead, Tracy.
I was just going to say, so if you were thinking like, I'd love to do this, take care of myself, be healthy, but I'm a little bit lazy. Is there like 3 top things that you would just go, you got to do this? Like, I would assume water was one of them, but is there something that you can go, well, I can't do, I'm still not ready to put time away aside for prepping my food on Sundays, but I can do a couple of these things?
Yeah, so definitely drinking water, if we could do more than 3, awesome. But, the easiest things would do, just make sure that you're getting enough fiber. So at a minimum of 30 grams of fiber a day. And that is not from a supplement. That is from food, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I take my fiber supplement. I'm like, no. I mean fiber from food. So making sure, and they have apps on your phone that are free. I think, the My Plate is free, and that is amazing. It breaks down all the macronutrients. It gives you like how much fiber, how much fat, how much protein. It's amazing. It does have calories, and I'm not a big calorie counter just because I think that can cause issues. We can talk about that another time, but that's a really great app because it can show you and it can track how much water are you drinking, how much fiber are you eating. It can track, I think it does movement. I don't remember. Maybe that's Pro. Either way, so making sure to get your water, eating your fiber. And if you were to pick a third one, either sleeping really well, getting good quality over quantity of sleep, or movement, right? Getting out and walking for 20, 30 minutes after a meal is really amazing. It's going to improve your digestion. And it's also going to help to improve other areas of your life, like sleep. It's going to help to improve, the motility of your intestines, all of that. So those are some things that you can do.
That's interesting because I was always told to walk before or do my exercise before I ate. And you're telling me maybe do it after.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So you can do it before. And the reason why I say to do it after is, so don't go running, right? Because that's going to put us in a very stressful situation.
I'm not running.
But
not Michelle here. I'm not running.
Yeah, when we're doing a strenuous exercise after eating, that's not good, right? Because our bodies are in rest and digest, right? Okay. They're like, oh crap, you're trying to feed me, but you're also trying to run from a bear. What is happening? So really doing like a very light walk after is going to help speed up the juices. It's going to help relax your body instead of stress it out. So that's a really good thing. You could walk before. I've seen better reactions inside of people's bodies when they do it after. And I worked with a lot of diabetics when I was in medical school, and I still work with, you know, all endocrine people. But especially for my diabetic people or people who have, you know, sugar imbalances, walking 20 to 30 minutes after a meal is really good, and it helps to improve their blood sugar.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it does make sense, right? Because you are using mussels, which mussels kind of eat up glucose. So one thing we kind of didn't hit on are, and I think, Tracy, you had asked, is there a supplement that might help with gut health? And the answer is yes. Getting a really good probiotic could be helpful, but the reason why you would take it is really dependent on health-wise, right? Like just taking a probiotic isn't going to be enough to give you good gut health. You should really practice good eating habits, drinking your water, sleep, all of that. That's really just more as an aid. It's not a fix-all. If you have been on antibiotics, antibiotics kill everything. They are really good. They kill everything. That means your entire gut flora. So if you've been on a round of antibiotics, you know, waiting until after, because obviously if you're taking it at the same time, it's just, you might as well light your money on fire. So taking it after is going to be really beneficial because it's going to help rebuild your gut flora. So that's a really good time to use a probiotic, is after you've had a round of antibiotics or anything like that, that just destroys everything in your gut. If you would like to have, you know, a little bit of extra, or if you need to feed, you know, a certain bacteria more than another one, you know, again, which is going to be influenced by your lab results, right, from a stool analysis, then you can also take a probiotic. I take probiotics every now and then. I look at probiotics as more of like seeds for your lawn, right? So seeds are really the probiotics, and you don't seed your lawn every day, right? That would be crazy. You do it every once in a while. So that's really how I practice using probiotics, right? Is getting a really good one first. And then, you know, practicing just doing it every once in a while to just kind of give a little boost here and there. But doing it every day, I don't really see the benefit unless there is, you know, again, a gut flora imbalance, or, you know, you've had a round of antibiotics.
Wow. A lot of great information here.
It's so funny though. I think every time we've had a conversation with Dr. Beth, it always comes down to three things: eat well, get enough sleep, and drink your water.
Drink your water.
And movement. Sorry, movement as well.
Yeah.
It's like those four things are like the four pillars of everything in terms of self-care. Like honestly, it really is.
And I resist.
Right.
Like water, I'm like, I don't have time for water. I gotta drink my coffee. I'm sorry.
I do at the end of the day, I go, did I drink water today? And it's like,
I don't ever.
What? I drank coffee, but did I drink my water?
So the first thing when I get up, I drink 32 ounces of water.
I die. I couldn't do it.
Yes.
It took a while. And now if I don't do it, I feel that. Like it is natural. It is so natural to me to do that, that if I walked and got a cup of tea, because I'm not a coffee drinker, a cup of tea before I drink that water, I'm lost.
Yeah.
And that took time and practice to the point where I get out of bed, this jug of water is waiting for me right there. And so I go and sit quietly before I run down to take care of pups and everything. And that's when I drink it. I don't move until that's gone. And sometimes I have to.
How long does it take you? How long does it take you to drink that?
Maybe 15, 20 minutes.
32 ounces. How many cups is that? Somebody do the math.
4? Is it 8 ounce?
Holy moly.
8 ounce cups? 4 cups?
Yeah. 8 ounce. Yeah. Holy moly.
But you get,
I'm lucky if I do a cup a day.
I have it in a big container. I put a little bit of lemon in it, not much. And that while I'm doing it's either I'm reading something from my faith or personal development, it's my quiet time. And so some people have their quiet time, have their cup of tea or whatever. I drink my water because I wasn't drinking my water. I wasn't drinking it. Yeah, so this is what forced me to start to drink my water. So my problem, Dr. Beth, is I get a lot of water in all the way up to 1 o'clock. And then it's a struggle because then at that point, my body's like, yeah, the hell with you. I don't want any more water.
Yeah.
No.
So, and that's a good thing to do is really start your day with water, right? And like you said, it took practice. It took time to get up to that amount. I always tell people right off the bat, start with 20 ounces. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. And that's your first thing upon waking. Boom, you have your water bottle right there, and just get a 20-ounce water bottle. Is not that big. You can drink 20 ounces of coffee in 10 minutes. You can drink 20 ounces of water. Come on, don't be a baby.
You're calling me out?
Yeah, really. Yeah. I am not a baby.
Hey, I was the same way. I was like, oh my God, 20 ounces, what? And then when I actually got the bottle, it's like, oh, that's not that much, right? So, you know, really starting your day off with 20 ounces of water, and then at least do 10 ounces every hour to hour and a half. So that's something you can do too, Michelle. I mean, you've seen my big giant 64-ounce water bottle. I mean, I fill that up twice a day. So you can really kind of, you know, however you want to calculate. If you want a smaller water bottle, like a 32 ounce, you might have to fill it up 4 times. I know though, I'm very minimal, right? I like to make things very simplified. So just making sure that you're getting your water throughout the day. And like you said, if you're stopping around 1 p.m., maybe setting an alarm in your phone or on your watch or something, just to remind you, hey, drink 10 ounces of water. Yeah. Just do it. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
As long as you're not going anywhere, because
yes. Yeah, right. Hey, but that's good. And you're flushing your kidneys, which is good, right? You're getting everything through your intestines, and your body will get used to it. I will say I used to have, like my dad always called it, an itty bitty bladder syndrome. And once I started drinking more water,
your body does less likely. Your body does adjust to it.
It does.
Yeah. It does.
I'm in awe, ladies. Seriously in awe. I'm going to try for 1 cup of water in the morning. I'll start off with that.
Try. Do that. Challenge. Just have it on the side of your bed. So when you put your feet down, you just drink that. Like that it actually helped me start flushing my body out. I started being more regular in the morning because after I started drinking, it's like it just starts my body going. Yeah. Starts my body flowing.
Yeah.
I love this. You just sparked an idea. What if I did like a free little challenge, you know, to follow along, like start with some water, you know?
Yeah.
Boom, let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll be there with you, Dr. Beth.
Let us know the details.
Yes, I will.
And anyone else, once you read this, you know, listen to it or whatever, I'm sure if we get more people who want to know more about a water challenge, I'm sure Dr. Beth will do it multiple times. She does do sometimes different trainings within her Facebook group. So if you're interested and you put it down in our notes or in our comment section, I'm sure we can talk her into doing another water challenge along after this is aired. But ladies, do you have any other questions for Dr. Beth?
I'm good.
No, I've got my 4 things I got to work on.
You got your 4 things.
For the challenge for number 1.
Yes. Water challenge.
Well, this was very good. I really appreciate you coming back on. I know we will be having you on next month again.
Yes.
And anybody, if you found this beneficial, please put in the comment section why you found it beneficial. Also, if you have any questions, I know we list Dr. Beth's information, but also put it in the comment section because I'll guarantee you, if you're thinking about it, somebody else is also thinking about it. So put it in there and we will get back to you, or we might do another show on it. You never know. Until next time, thank you so much, Dr. Beth.
Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe or share this channel too. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.